Now the next speaker is Dr. Michael Keane. Now he seems to have a very, very special interest in what has turned out to be one of the most popular buzzwords in today's world, creative industries. I think Hong Kong is full of that, and so are other countries everywhere. Now creative industries, typically, they contrast with traditional industries. But the interesting thing about Michael Keane is that he's trying to combine the two, not simply as two industries, but his interest in creative industries is located in mainland China, which has long been denying any kind of engagement with creative industries. So I think it's a very, very interesting development. Now, his most recent manuscripts that he has created, they're all actually related to China. So much of his work actually is based on China. And that is called Created in China, The Great New Leap Forward. It's published by Routledge in 2007. And he has a number of projects that he's working with some of the mainland Chinese universities, particularly Beijing. He's been collaborating with Chinese Academy of Social Sciences with Professor Zhang Xiaoming, looking at how project management and decision-making processes impact upon innovation. Now, in order to understand this, he examines the structures of participations in decisions. That's another area in which the Chinese culture has one kind of approach, which is getting very, very interesting in the Western world as well. So I think it'll be very interesting to hear him say about his experiences in mainland China. Let me invite Dr. Michael Keane. He'll be talking about creative misunderstandings, framing the new industrial discourse. Michael Keane.
When I was listening to the first two speakers, I thought about what I could have talked about, as opposed to what I am going to talk about. And although it's not exactly a case of now for something completely different, as Monty Python would say, it's not completely different because most of you people here are very familiar with China. You are in China after all. But I could have looked at some of the policy documents that are coming out using the term creativity and culture, which I've done elsewhere. And I was looking at the first speaker's presentation and looking at the use of creativity in policy documents coming out of the UK. It's something very similar there. And also what Chris was talking about the idea of creative discourse in the way that people communicate. That's all very topical. But I'm going to make a big statement from the beginning, and I know I'm in Hong Kong, and I'm sure I'm going to get some people that are going to take me up on this. But I believe that the discourse of creativity is perhaps a kind of a Trojan horse in China towards greater openness. Now, in my presentation, I have some slides. I have no text like the other speakers. It's mostly slides, and I apologise beforehand because there's a picture of me in in a few of the slides. It's not because I want to keep looking at myself, but because I spent a lot of time in China, and people keep taking photos of me. I don't take the photos. They take the photos of me, and they send me the photos, and it's exactly what I want to say. So, let me just introduce by talking about a few concepts of creativity. The term creativity currently evokes misunderstandings, and this often leads to definition ambiguity. And working as I do in a national research centre called the Australian Research Council for Creative Industries and Innovation, I'm aware of scepticism from some of my colleagues in the humanities and social sciences when it comes to addressing the question of creativity. It's elusive. Furthermore, it seems that inevitably that discussions of this idea will be underpinned by a diversity of commentaries, some left field, some utilitarian, and some utopian. I'd like to offer some examples. Richard Taylor Green, a professor of knowledge and creativity management, currently working in Japan, offers the world 60 models of creativity, as well as 960 ways to be more creative. His website explains, "You can recognize me anywhere in the world by the strange suits that I wear." He has self-published 12 books. Roger Van Ook, I don't know how the pronunciation is right, but founder of the organisation Creative Think, describes himself as follows. I'm an author, inventor and consultant. I started my company in 1977 to stimulate creativity in business. I'm probably best known as the author of A Whack on the Side of the Head, The Creative Whack Pack, and most recently as the creator of The Ball of Wax. Writing in 2002, a book with an inspired title, New Ideas About New Ideas, Shira White reveals, for virtually all the creative artists I spoke to, their lives are a spark soup, bubbling with possibilities, simmering with opportunities, loosely flowing, continually churning out challenges and problems, perpetually popping with new ideas. There's not a lot of regulation. There are openings everywhere to let new ingredients in. On a more scientific foothold, the neuroscientist Gregory Burns notes, in order to think creatively and imagine possibilities that only iconoclasts do, one must break out of experience-dependent categorization, or what Mark Twain called education. Burns believes that the brain takes shortcuts when it can, relying on patterns to conserve energy. Finally, Margaret Bowden, a writer on artificial intelligence and author of The Creative Mind, provides the most elegant definition. She says, creativity is the ability to come up with ideas that are new, surprising, and valuable. In citing these examples, I'm not implying a Western monopoly on creativity. I demonstrate, however, that there are a plurality of methodological positions contending in societies where freedom of expression is the communicative benchmark. It is reasonable to say that creativity is a well-worn topic in liberal democratic societies. It emanates from the romantic tradition of individual genius and finds expression in educational psychology, creative industries, and business management. Where it has undergone a wider and more democratic makeover in recent years, as we have heard recently. When we turn to the People's Republic of China, however, such robust debates are few and far between in the 20th century, save perhaps for what a period known as May 4th, 1915 to 1925, when there was a preoccupation with imported ideas and romanticism in literature. In more recent times, the culture fever of the mid-1980s signified a kind of creative readiness that led, amongst other things, to fifth-generation cinema, but eventually diminished in force when the post-Tiananmen Square crackdown on expression took effect. Another argument would be that media commercialization during the 1990s in China dissipated the embryonic creativity of the culture fever period. Many of these people moved into business, into the culture industry and made money. Now, China's new creative age, or more appropriately, creative surge, has arrived. Whereas freedom of expression is a communicative ideal in the West, in China social harmony overrides such idealism. China's creative zeitgeist blends utopianism, pragmatism, and naivety. In many manifestations of this creative age, optimism is combined with an appeal for international respect, not just in cultural works, but also in design and new media, architecture, and fashion. A plurality of approaches also exists, many informed by Western theories in education, management, and marketing. Western consultants are frequently engaged in project ventures and often found to be talking about creativity at conferences, as I do often in China, talk about creativity in conferences. Whether they listen to me, I'm not sure, but I don't talk. There is an unapologetic desire on the part of officials to make capital out of the past. Theme parks, tourism branding, cultural relics, souvenirs, and so on. In cities, and to a lesser extent in the countryside, one is likely to encounter creative incubators, creative clusters, creative zones, creative corridors. In the education system, we find creativity classrooms. In accounting for the creativity, the so-called industry development reports, we find such bizarre items as hairdressers, wedding ceremonies, satellite equipment manufacture, carpet making, and furniture manufacture. The latest addition to the list is creative agriculture. I can show you a lot more pictures, but I think you get the picture of what I mean. There's quite a bit of diversity.